Hello, welcome to your snack sandwich. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Tapioca or Tapioca DAO. Now the project's not live yet. If you click on here, it just basically says it's coming in the future. So the project's not quite live yet, but you can play around with this front end and stuff and kind of click through these buttons and see some, degenerate type things and, little questionnaires and stuff like that. Or you can come as I did and read the docs as usual. So what does the doc say Tapioca DAO is they call it an Omnichain money market. So it's the first ever Omnichain money market across 12 plus EVM machines and soon to be non-EVM networks. Okay, so this protocol is a place where you can borrow and lend tokens and also mint a over-collateralized US stablecoin, and you can do it cross-chain on any chain via layer 0. Okay, so I do have a flowchart for you, so I'll go through the flowchart, but as always, I'll encourage you to come and read the docs. The docs is pretty thorough, but there are some missing pieces inside the docs. So it's a work in progress, but you can definitely get a taste of this. I enjoyed reading it. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty clever, and I think it might be a deal breaker. Okay, so let's go over to the flowchart and let's see what's inside this. If you would like to support the channel, I would suggest you to check out the secretsandwich.xyz. It's the Secret Sandwich NFT project. You can come here, you can mint an NFT, or you can come and check out your NFTs. If you want to know more about the Secret Sandwich NFT project, I would suggest you to check out the Medium. I will put a link to this website and you can check the Medium articles here. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, so here we are on the flowchart. We have dollar bill and we have boosted bill and we have Tapioca DAO right here in the middle. Okay, so let's get started. Basically, the first thing that we have here is we have a Omnichain lending like money market. So what dollar bill can do is he can supply any of these major assets. Now it does talk about using only blue chips as well as gas tokens of individual chains. So as you can see, we have Matic, AVAX, Fantom, BNB, the Gnosis chain token, and then some blue chips like the liquid staking derivatives of Lido ETH, Rocket ETH, staked Matic, and staked AVAX. Okay, AVAX. Now, so he can supply these to be lent, right? And then what makes this thing special is it uses layer 0. So he supplies ETH on ETH. And then Boosted Bill comes along and he supplies BNB on Binance Smart Chain and borrows some of his ETH on Arbitrum. Now it's got a loan to value of about 75%, but you can see how that changes. And his interest rate is based on a curve that's shaped like this. So they hope that the utilization of like dollar bills, ETH, will be around 60 to 80%. And after 80%, the interest rate for dollar bill or boosted bill will start to increase quite rapidly. And then as it's down on the left-hand side, like 20-30%, the interest rate will decrease quite rapidly, but not nearly as much as when it goes above 80%. Okay, so this is using layer 0. So I'm going to echo this again. So he's lent ETH on Ethereum. He's lent BNB, collateralized BNB on Binance Smart Chain, and he's borrowed ETH on Arbitrum. So let's swing over to another picture here. I'm not going to go through all of this because it's kind of complicated and this kind of requires a video of its own. And I did explain it inside another video already, and I'll leave a link to that as well. But basically how layer 0 works is things happen on one chain and that data is sent to a relayer. This relayer is going to be run by Tapioca DAO. And that relayer information is sent to contracts on the other chain to perform actions. So for example, deposit, and I want to borrow on another chain. So I deposit on BNB. It tells the relayer, on Arbitrum, he's allowed to borrow some ETH, this much ETH, and then he borrows that much ETH. Now, that's what the relayer does, but to make it decentralized and more safe, and to take out the possibility of exploitation, they have a price oracle as well, like a chain link oracle that confirms some of the data that is sent through the relayer. So that pretty much kind of really simplifies how the layer 0 works. But again, if you want to know how layer 0 works, you're going to have to dig deeper on that. So let's go back to the flowchart here. So moving on. So the second thing here, because they're focusing or they're targeting 60 to 80% utilization, the 20% they think will not be used too much. Like it'll kind of sit idle. So instead of leaving it sitting here idle, it can still be borrowed, but let's say it's idle. It's going to be sent to a yield box, okay? And what the yield box will do is it will send those assets to farms to auto compound on any chain. So his ETH might be deployed in a curve pool on Ethereum, or on Aave on Fantom, or on Stargate on Arbitrum, or whatever farms they integrate right with. But the key thing is that his ETH is cross-chain yield farming this 20% extra, right? That's not utilized. Now, moving on. Now, I should mention that these markets are built on Kashi, or the bento box. So they are, they're Kashi. This is a Kashi market and built on the bento box. So basically, these are isolated markets as well. You don't have like a whole bunch of risk of many different assets that are, versus your lending platform. So it's isolated lending market as well, okay? So moving on to this. Now, another thing that you can do with this is you can mint up a stablecoin. They call it USDO, okay? So again, they have a loan to value of roughly about 75%, right? So $100 in, you can mint out $75 of stablecoins, and you can take those somewhere, farm, or you can swap for other stablecoins and do whatever you want. And remember, 20% of your ETH is sent to the yield box, and the other 80% might be lent to Degen Bill here to actually, who's going to pay you interest for borrowing your ETH, assuming that it is borrowed, right? Now, there are some key features inside this stablecoin that kind of really set it apart and that are innovations. So the first thing is they have a variable interest rate versus ETH. Now, let me explain this very clearly. So if you use ETH on Mainnet to borrow USDO, you will pay 0.5% interest, okay? However, if you use BNB on Binance Smart Chain to borrow USDO, you might pay somewhere between 0.5 to 3%. Now, basically, let's say there's $100 US worth of ETH here, and he comes with $50 US worth of BNB, then he will pay 0.5. If he comes with 60, maybe 0.7. If he comes with 80, maybe 0. Or maybe 1.2. Or if he comes with 90, maybe 2.5. If he comes with $100 US worth of BNB, then he has to pay 3%. So basically, the amount of this coin backed by ETH. They want most of this coin to be backed by ETH, but they will allow some of it to be backed by other tokens, of these other tokens down here. And based on, this ratios, this linear interest, variable interest rate. So they will discourage people from using a lot of these if there's not already a lot of ETH backing this, okay? The second thing, they have a variable mint fee. So this is a way that they can help to incentivize or to encourage arbitrage of the peg. So if the value of this USDO is above peg, so 1.02, then to mint this token will be free, no mint fee. Okay, now it linearly will change to 1% if the interest rate, or sorry, the price of this in the market is 0.98. So it'll go up to 1%. So as you can see, they will encourage people to mint stable coins when it's above peg and sell them because they don't have to pay any mint fee. And they will discourage people from minting and selling more if it's below peg. Okay. So next part here, we have this peg protection mode. And this is when if one of these assets has been declared to be risky, making the peg of the stablecoin bad, then they can, with a 72-hour time lock, after 72-hour time locks, when they initiate the peg protection mode, the interest rate, so this interest rate will double. And then it'll double again until it gets to 10%. So this is a very like a safe mechanism if they find out like some sort of bad debt issue possibility or something like that. Okay, so moving on. So a stable coin, if they're gonna use like Cashi and Bento Bucks, they might as well allow for some degenerate leveraging up. So they're going to have a one-click 3x. So basically what that would be is he supplies ETH, right? He, in one click, in flash loans, he borrows some USDO, or he mints some USDO, and then he they use that to buy some ETH, deposit it, mint some more, deposit it, and then he's get leveraged up ETH exposure, right? Now remember that leveraged up ETH exposure is also being lent to Boosted Bill as well as being sent to the yield box to degenerate, right? Now another key thing that sets this aside, like this sounds a lot like Abracadabra's meme, right? But this token here is completely mintable. The project itself does not need to supply these markets with this O. They can set a limit on how much USDO can be backed by these different tokens, right? However, they're going to allow, now they're all set to max cap as much as possible. At the start, they will, I guess you can't say right now, but at the start of when the protocol launches, they will be set to max so that they will encourage everybody to just ape it. But as, if they decide at some point, like maybe the team or the DAO or the governance decides that, BNB is quite risky or Fantom's quite risky, we want to limit that. They can just put a hard cap on it regardless of this like variable interest rate versus ETH. Okay, so moving on. Now, yield farming. Okay, now they're not going to do your basic normal incentivization through kind of like governance token giveaways. So they're going to require some different things. So what they require is if you lend some assets to what they call here the singularity, this lending market here, if you lend some assets and you time lock them, so VE lock the actual assets in here, then you will start to accrue some OTAP. Okay, OTAP is like an option tap. So think of like the keeper options, if you already know what those are. So basically, every week they will distribute these OTAP tokens, and these OTAP tokens have a weekly expiration date, and they have a strike price, and they will give you a small discount based on the current market price of TAP at that time. So it depends, like they say the discount will be between 0 to 50% discount based on factors of your time lock, basically, and how much you've time locked and stuff like that. Now, when that week comes, you have a choice if you want to exercise this option or not. If you decide you want to exercise this option, then you use some, let's say, USDC, right? And that USDC will be used to be added to the protocol-owned liquidity of USDO and like the protocol-owned liquidity of that USDO on that chain that you exercise this on. I'm not sure which chain this will be exercised or if it will be exercised on all chains, okay? So you would then use some USDC to buy some tokens, and you would get a discount on those tokens based on the market. Then you can instantly ARB them if you want, or you can take them and lock them yourself. Now, if you want to lock the tokens, basically what that will give you, the first thing it will give you is governance rights. So you will need to time lock them in the same manner that you time lock these, okay? So you time lock these tokens, right? And you get governance rights. The second thing you get is you get a boost up to 1.5x boost on your options that you're gaining, right? As well as they will increase your loan to value by roughly 15% or so, up to 15%. So I don't think it will be exactly 15% because that would take you to 100%, and that's quite degenerate. So I'm not sure, maybe these numbers are, ideas right now, and maybe they're not fully hatched out. Okay, so they would lock it. You would get this out for basically, you would be able to borrow more versus your assets. Okay, now I'm going to read this. It says, instead of utilizing fixed values, such as the case with Curve's vote escrowing, TWML is fluid and the free market decides the value of time. So now I wasn't able to find anywhere in the docs. It doesn't say anywhere, but how long you need to lock these for. And it says basically that like more information will be provided when they release the TWAML white paper. So I don't know how long it's going to be locked, but it's going to be some sort of a variable thing based on the results of people locking and bonding or something like that. I'm speculating here, okay? Now, the other thing I want you to get for locking this this token is you will get a share of the fees paid in TETH, okay? TETH is an OFT20, which is like a zero-layer token standard, okay? And basically what this token standard allows for is the minting of the bridging, or I guess we can call it bridging, the minting of tokens on any chain without having to pay a middleman. So you don't have to pay any bridges anymore. You can just take ETH, so let's say TETH on Arbitrum, and you can just instantly convert it to TETH on Fantom, and it would just be instant. Now, they will have to like supply liquidity to this token and have this token be able to be traded and so forth. But the point is that this token, it gets rid of the need to pay middleman and to depend on centralized bridges as well, which is quite interesting, okay? Now, I do say they're going to give you TETH because you have locked TAP tokens, right? So they call it TW TAP tokens, right? So locked TAP tokens. And so where does this ETH come from? It comes from the protocol fees. So let's talk about the fees, okay? The fees are pretty, woo. Okay, so first we have this variable fee that I told you about. It goes to the treasury. This loan to value, basically any liquidations goes to the treasury, right? The variable interest rate versus ETH goes to the treasury. The flash loans, basically, because when you do this leveraging up, it's a flash loan. So that flash loan fee of 0.001% goes to the treasury, and a performance fee on this yield box generating 15% performance fee goes to the treasury. The treasury keeps 20% of that and sends 80% over to all of the TW TAP token holders, the locked TAP token holders. And it also talks about a 0.5% being sent to the protocol guild in order to further develop the Ethereum network and EMV virtual machines, okay? So that's pretty much it. That's all I could figure out by reading the docs. And as always, I encourage you to go verify what I said, read the docs yourself, go to the Discord, ask some questions and so forth. And I hope this has been useful and interesting, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.